Right on the chin. Mamma mia! What a knee! You cannot stand in front of that man. That power is different. It's extraordinary.
Another opponent to the lead. What a head kick.
It's all over. A spectacular finish, just like that.
Headshot, bang, done.
What's up, everyone? We're back with another episode of the Fight Corner. This week, we're taking a look at the UFC Fight Night from Saudi Arabia, Robert Whitaker versus Ikram Aliskerov. Through the entire main card and prelims of this chopped and changed card, seeing who got those 50k bonuses as well, then taking a look at some recent fight news in the world of MMA, and rounding it all off with a brief look at next week's fight card, UFC 303 from Las Vegas for International Fight Week. So without any further ado, let's get into this week's episode. In the main event, it was Robert Whitaker taking on Ikram Aliskerov, who stepped in to replace the unavailable Khamzat Chimaev. There was a hard leg kick from Whitaker, but just a little while after that, Whitaker steps in with a beautiful right hand that rocks Aliskerov, following it up with two lefts and just misses with a head kick before landing a ruthless right uppercut, sending Aliskerov to the canvas on all fours. Whitaker jumps on him with left hands, getting Mark Goddard to stop the fight, and a really great performance from Robert Whitaker, putting his name right back on that very short list of middleweight contenders. And in your co-main event, we had Sergei Pavlovich taking on Alexander Volkov. Volkov landing nice kicks to the legs of Pavlovich, who has yet to be able to really find his range and get inside of Volkov to land anything, and a good body kick from Volkov. But Pavlovich starting to find his range a little bit later on in the round and landing a few shots of his own. But Volkov is landing the better shots so far and using his jab and kicks well to keep Pavlovich on the outside. And this will be Pavlovich's second round in the UFC. And Volkov continues to attack the legs of Pavlovich and making really good use of his kicks, stifling Pavlovich, not allowing him to get his game going, and he's just kind of following Volkov around the octagon, not cutting him off, not getting into space, and not being able to close that distance. And Volkov lands a hard left hand that stumbles Pavlovich, who fires back with a left and a right hand of his own. But Volkov just continues to move and use his length to his advantage. And in the third, it's more kicks and movement from Volkov. But a hard jab from Pavlovich stumbles Volkov back to the cage. But Volkov continues to attack the lead leg of Pavlovich and using some good straight shots to stop any forward momentum. Pavlovich does respond with a combo of his own to the head, but Volkov comes back with shots of his own, landing a hard 1-2 and follow that up with a kick to the body and a straight left. And Pavlovich is really starting to show some serious damage to his face now. And Volkov continues to move really well around the cage, landing on Pavlovich, who does look for a takedown late in the round, which is stuffed by Volkov. And in the last 10 seconds, they each start throwing down, landing some shots, and it's Volkov landing a head kick right at the end of the round. And this was a clear, unanimous decision victory for Alexander Volkov, 30-27 times 2 and 29-28 by the other judge. And in the feature bout, we had Daniel Rodriguez taking on Kelvin Gastelum. At middleweight, the bout was originally scheduled for 170 pounds, but Gastelum again having issues with the weight cut with training camp and asked for the fight to be moved up one weight class. Both swinging and winging punches in the opening bits, but nothing of consequence lands. Gastelum was able to find his range with a nice left hand followed by a hard low kick and a nice jab behind it. And Rodriguez starts to land shots of his own near the end of the round and lands a nice combination to the head and body of Gastelum. And Gastelum responds with a combination of his own, and they finished the round throwing shots against the cage, with Gastelum getting the better of the last exchange. In the second, Rodriguez caught Gastelum early in the round with good shots upstairs. Gastelum was able to change levels off of Rodriguez's left hook and get in deep on a takedown against the cage, but Rodriguez did a good job of getting back to his feet, and when they do, Gastelum rips 2 hooks to the body, which were really mean, and Rodriguez answers back with a combination of his own, both using the jab well, and Gastelum lands a hard low kick and then follows it up with a right hand. Gastelum lands another hard leg kick, and Rodriguez responds with a solid left hand on the return. And Rodriguez lands a nice 1-2 at the end of the round, with Gastelum completing a takedown right at the bell. And in the third, good strikes from both, and Gastelum continued to attack that lead leg of Rodriguez. And Gastelum was constantly on the front foot though, throwing punches and kicks, but Rodriguez is answering back, landing good counters and shots of his own. Gastelum is able to press Rodriguez against the fence with some punches, and then gets in deep on a double leg, getting Rodriguez to the ground with a really nice lift right into side control. But Rodriguez does a good job of avoiding any real damage and gets the fight back to the feet with about 30 seconds left in the fight. But Gastelum again times another good entry to a takedown, getting the fight back to the ground and ending the fight on top of Rodriguez. And this fight goes to the judges, where it was a unanimous decision victory for Kelvin Gastelum, 30-27 times 2 judges and 29-28 for the other. Moving down the main card, it was Antonio Trócoli taking on Sharabutdin Magomedov. Some nice leg kicks from Magomedov to start the round, but Trócoli responds with a hard right hand, forcing a clinch and landing some good shots in close. But a little fence grab behind the back by Trócoli forces Goddard to step in and take the position away. Keep this in mind for a little later on in the fight, ladies and gentlemen. After the break, Magomedov steps in with a hard 1-2 and a nice leg kick to follow, and Magomedov continues to attack the legs and the body of Trócoli for the rest of the round. In the second, lots of kicks from both to start, to the body and the legs. Magomedov stuffs a takedown from Trócoli and lands 2 knees to the body and a right hand on the break, and Magomedov continuing to attack the legs of Trócoli. And Trócoli got into another takedown that was initially defended by Magomedov, but as Trócoli progressed against the cage, Magomedov had a really bad fence grab that clearly kept him on the feet, and Mark Goddard only gave a warning, which is crazy. And because the fight was kept on the feet, Magomedov landed some elbows over the top and 2 hard knees to the body before landing some rights followed by a left, forcing a shot from Trócoli, which Magomedov defends to keep the fight on the feet for the end of the round. And in the third, it starts with a nice kick to the body followed by a hook kick to the head from Magomedov, and he continues to attack the legs of Trócoli and land a nice lead left hand as well. And after a hard leg kick from Magomedov, Trócoli went for a bad takedown and ate a knee to the face, followed by a right hand, sending Trócoli back to the cage. And Magomedov continued to throw punches to the head and the body, and Trócoli was basically out on his feet, but Magomedov made no doubt about it when he landed a left hook that sent Trócoli crashing to the canvas, and Mark Goddard, who was about to step in and call the fight anyways, now calls it off. And this was a very interesting one. I mean, I think that fence grab in the second looms very large in how the rest of the fight played out. I don't like the breaking of the position for one fence grab for one fighter and the continuation and just a hard warning for the other. It was still a great striking performance overall by Magomedov, and he's going to be one to watch in the future as he progresses with the organization. And kicking off the main card, it was a very interesting matchup between Volkan Oezdemir and Johnny Walker. Good leg kicks from both to start the round. Oezdemir works in with punches and lands some real good shots against the cage, working the body and the head, and a lead left hook that drops Walker, and Oezdemir swarms with punches but can't find another clean shot. Then Oezdemir pushes Walker against the cage and crumbles him with a right uppercut, sending Walker to the canvas, and follows it up with a brutal right hand that switched Walker off completely. And this could maybe be the return of no time Volkan Oezdemir, who was dispatching opponents rather quickly at the start of his career, which launched him into that meteoric rise, getting that title shot against Daniel Cormier. But time will tell. But yeah, this was a really great performance against a potentially fading Johnny Walker. And your featured prelim, we had Nasrat Haqparast taking on Jared Gordon. Gordon in on a single leg early, trying to treetop Haqparast, getting his leg high, but ends up throwing some nice right hands instead. And Haqparast, very quick hands, is looking sharp with them early, landing some good lefts. And Gordon again unable to complete the takedown, but does land some good shots on the exit. And Haqparast continued to land good quick shots, and the speed advantage is very evident, and a beautiful combination with his back against the cage near the end of the round. In the second, again, Haqparast getting the better of the opening exchanges, but Gordon is definitely still in this fight, landing shots of his own and doing some really good work up against the cage. And Gordon is building some momentum, landing a series of right hands later in the round, and now winning this round. And it's a great fight so far, and in my books it's all going down to this third round. And again, nice fast combinations from Haqparast and a stiff jab afterwards. And Gordon came real close to completing his first takedown, but Haqparast got right back to his feet. But Gordon marching forward, throwing hands to the head of Haqparast, who is still firing back himself, and they are both pushing 300 total strikes at this point of the fight. Really crazy pace, and both just seemingly to be going shot for shot at this point, both using the jab really well, and both really tired at the end of the round, but continuing to throw and neither backing down. And this was a really great fight to end the prelims and to get everyone really pumped up for going into that main card. And it was a split decision victory for Haqparast, 29-28 times 2 for him, and 29-28 by the one dissenting judge in the favor of Jared Gordon. And moving down the prelims, we had Muhammad Naimov taking on Felipe Lima. Lima coming in on very short notice, and coming in also at a weight class above his normal weight of the 135-pound division. And hard kicks from both to start the round, and it's Lima knocking Naimov down with a solid front kick to the body, and then a flying knee when Naimov got back to his feet. Naimov looked to grab onto a single leg, but Lima keeps the fight against the cage, and when they break, Lima lands some nice leg kicks, but Naimov returns fire with a flurry of left hands afterwards before landing to the legs himself and coming very close to landing a wheel kick. Naimov was able to get in deep on a body lock and get the fight to the ground, but as soon as they hit the mat, Lima looked to roll and attack the legs of Naimov, who ends up in the guard of Lima, who is very active off his back and appeared to have cut Naimov with some nasty elbows from the bottom position. And in the second, lots of kicks from both guys to open the round, and a lot of success for both throughout the round, landing upstairs and to the body. And I, for one, am very, very impressed with Lima's performance so far. You can clearly tell he is the smaller opponent, but he's very talented as well. And in the third, it was hard leg kicks from Naimov to start the round, and both again having their moments of success in the opening exchanges. When Lima got in on a body lock and pushed Naimov against the cage, who went for over-unders and looked for the inside trip, but Lima hit a little slide by and went right to the back of Naimov, sinking both hooks in with the arm under the chin, and that was it for Naimov, who was forced to tap. And a great debut for Lima, again in a division above what he usually fights at, and getting the finish against a very tough opponent. And I am very excited to see what he can do at his natural weight class of 135 pounds. Not his natural weight class, but at his normal fighting weight class of 135 pounds. In the welterweight division, we had Nicolas Dalby taking on Rinat Fakhretdinov. Hard leg kicks from Dalby early on, with Fakhretdinov swinging wildly in the opening. And Fakhretdinov stuffs Dalby's takedown, and they end up in a clinch against the cage with both landing knees in close. Fakhretdinov landing some good shots before shooting in on a takedown, but Dalby is able to keep the fight on the feet. When they break, Fakhretdinov drops Dalby with a left and a right hand behind, sending Dalby to his knees. Fakhretdinov closes in again against the fence, throwing big shots before securing a double leg, briefly taking Dalby down. Dalby does get back to his feet, and Fakhretdinov lands a beautiful switch knee at the end of the round. And some real nice exchanges in the beginning of the second round, with Fakhretdinov landing a good left hand before securing another double leg up against the fence. But again, Dalby works well back to his feet, and they exchange some nice strikes in the clinch, with Dalby landing a real good combination, finished with a knee up the middle, but had one return from Fakhretdinov right afterwards. They briefly break, with Dalby landing some more strikes before getting into another clinch, and Fakhretdinov again secures another takedown, with Dalby being able to get back to his feet before the end of the round. In the third, Dalby defending the takedown from Fakhretdinov and getting to a front headlock before just grazing a knee off the face of Fakhretdinov, who gets in on another takedown, and Dalby went for the switch, which he seemed to be a little late on, and Fakhretdinov completes the takedown against the fence. Dalby eventually works back to his feet, where they have a brief exchange, but Dalby overextends and allows Fakhretdinov to get deep on a double leg, get Dalby to his butt against the cage. But again, Dalby works back to his feet, and Fakhretdinov stays on the double, and this time Dalby does hit the switch, ends up briefly on Fakhretdinov's back before getting back into the open, and Fakhretdinov shoots another takedown. Dalby stuffs, and they exchange on the cage, and off the break, Dalby hit Fakhretdinov with a left head kick that wobbled him, and Fakhretdinov went in on another takedown. Dalby stuffs it and lands a knee and an uppercut against the fence, and Fakhretdinov returns the right hand, and they swing wildly to the end of the bell without any real damage being done. And this was a really entertaining fight that ends in a split decision, 29-28 times 2 for Fakhretdinov, 29-28 times 1 for Nicolas Dalby. In the bantamweight division, it was Muin Gafurov taking on Kang Kyung-ho. Good leg kicks from Gafurov early in the round, and another to the inside, and then drops Kang with another to the outside leg. And Kang with a very good entry to a single leg and into a body lock, but Gafurov defends well and ends up on top of Kang and lands some good strikes from within the guard, briefly moving to half guard and then landing some more shots before Kang got both butterfly hooks in, elevated Gafurov a little bit, and then stood up with the body lock and ended up taking Gafurov down and eventually getting to the back, and Gafurov goes for the slam at the end of the round. In the second, Gafurov throws a big right hand, Kang changes levels and gets the fight right to the ground, and then moving into mount, landing strikes and looking for the arm triangle. But Gafurov was able to get his arm under the leg of Kang and bucked him over, but his arm was under Kang's leg, so he ended up defending a triangle attempt. But Gafurov defends well and ends up on Kang's back, who then went for a Granby roll, but Gafurov did a good job of following and stayed on the back, landing strikes up against the cage until Kang is able to work free. And Gafurov lands a wicked 4-shot combination going to the body and the head, then attacking the lead leg. Really nice from Gafurov, who then stuffs Kang's takedown and looked for what appeared to be a 10-finger guillotine, but Kang survives, and another leg kick from Gafurov drops Kang to a knee before they continue to exchange on the feet, with Gafurov getting the better of it with some nice left hands and some shots with some real meanness to them from Gafurov to Kang at the end of the round, who is in the turtle position. In the third, Gafurov looks for the lateral drop but can't turn Kang over, and he ends up on bottom, where he lands some real nice elbows on Kang. Kang is able to sink in a hook from the back and then take mount when Gafurov tried to scramble. Gafurov does a good job though of getting to a hip and force the fight back to the feet. Kang goes for another takedown, and a really nice scramble ensues, with Gafurov pushing Kang up against the cage. Kang though was able to secure a takedown off this, right into side control, but when he made a slight move towards mount, Gafurov used this to turn into him, dig the underhook and get the fight back to the feet, then stuffing Kang's next shot, and then Gafurov lands a beautiful wheel kick to the head of Kang, hurting him badly, who drops to his knees, trying to grab onto Gafurov, but he gets smashed with a left and then a right hand at the end of the round in a really entertaining fight that does go to the judges' scorecards, and it is a unanimous decision victory, 30-27 on all judges' scorecards for Gafurov. And in the light heavyweight division, we had Brendson Ribeiro taking on Magomedov Gadjiasulov. Ribeiro landing some real good leg kicks before shooting a takedown and completes it, but Gadjiasulov did blatantly grab the fence. Jason Herzog did briefly stop them to put Gadjiasulov's knee back to the mat and restart, but Gadjiasulov worked right back to his feet. Ribeiro drags Gadjiasulov back to the ground though, who does a good job of working back to his feet and then defending another deep single leg as well. And Gadjiasulov lands a knee on the break from the cage, and Ribeiro returns with some hard leg kicks of his own. And he really hurt him with one of those low kicks near the end of the round. But Gadjiasulov is able to catch another kick from Ribeiro and then get the fight to the ground and avoid taking any more damage for the end of the round. In the second, another hard leg kick from Ribeiro, but Gadjiasulov caught the next one and went right for the takedown, only to end up in a very tight arm-in guillotine, and Gadjiasulov had to roll to his back to defend the choke, but he does really well in this scenario, stays calm, and actually ends up on top of Ribeiro in half guard, looking for strikes and landing some nice elbows near the end of the round. In the third, a big right hand from Ribeiro to start the round, but he got easily reversed from a very weak takedown entry, and Gadjiasulov moves into side control, landing some knees before getting Ribeiro to turtle, where he did work back to his feet, but then immediately taken down again, with Gadjiasulov taking side control and then taking half the back of Ribeiro and landing some hard shots, and Gadjiasulov remained on top for the rest of the round, landing punches and threatening with an arm triangle. And this one goes to a majority decision victory on the judges' scorecards, 29-28 times 2 for Gadjiasulov and 28-28 for a draw from one of the judges. And in the very first fight of the evening, it was Chang-ho taking on Xiao Long in the road to the UFC Asia Bantamweight Finals. Hence the red gloves for each fighter, as they are not technically in the organization just yet. Long comes out with a flying knee, and Lee lands a left in an early exchange. But trading knees against the cage, and Long lands a nice elbow on the break, and then a right hand in the open. And it's Long getting the takedown on Lee, who does wrestle up to his feet. And both exchange shots in the clinch, and more good exchanges in the clinch near the end of the round. And we all heard the clacker at the 10-second mark, but the horn does not go for the end of the round, and it causes Anik to get up and try to yell to the ref that the round is over before the horn comes in, which is very strange, and I don't think I've ever seen that one before. In the second, starting the round where the first ended in the clinch, both landing good shots, and Long catches a kick and is able to get Lee to the ground briefly, and again they exchange hard strikes in the clinch, and this continues for a while with the occasional break, but Lee landed some real good knees to the body and the head. In the third, again, right into that clinch position. This is where these guys are living for this fight, I swear, with more dirty boxing and knees from both, but the body shots from Lee do seem to have more on them, and eventually Lee is able to get Long down, take his back, but it was a bit high. He did try for a submission, but Long slips out the back and ends up taking Lee's back, and Lee is eventually able to reverse and get back to the feet, where he continues to land knees to the body, and Long lands a real good elbow over the top, and they continue to trade strikes in the clinch and trade shots in the open until the bell. And there was a possibility that this could go to a sudden victory round or a fourth round if there was a draw after the third round, similar to how they would do on the Tough reality show. But that was not needed. It was a split decision victory, 29-28 for 2 times Lee and 29-28 for the one judge for Long. And the 50K bonuses, they went with the 4 performance of the night bonuses, and those went to Robert the Reaper Whitaker, Sharabutdin the Bullet Magomedov, Volkan No Time Oezdemir, and the newcomer to the organization, Felipe Lima, all with fantastic finishes in their fights, all very deserving of the 50K bonuses. We also got some more news or an update on the Conor McGregor injury. It was revealed that he was kept out of his fight with Michael Chandler at UFC 303 due to a broken pinky toe. There were some images released on social media, one of a severely bruised toe and the other of an x-ray showing a break in that same toe. So it shouldn't take too long to heal, and hopefully that fight can get rebooked again very soon. And in some more MMA fight news, the MMA detectives were out in full force as fans caught a glimpse of the UFC 305 fight board and broke the news that Israel Adesanya will be fighting Dricus du Plessis in Perth on August 17th. And this has now officially been announced by the UFC, and a few other fights as well on the card, including Kaikar France and Steve Ursay, Tai Tuivasa and Jairzinho Rosenstruck, Tom Nolan and Alex Reyes, and Casey O'Neill taking on Teresa Bleda. And finally, in some sad news, Teila Tuli, who competed in the first ever televised UFC fight, has passed away. He did only have that one fight in the UFC, but it was a historic one. And he did go on to have a very long career in film and television, appearing in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and also had a long-running character in the TV series Hawaii Five-0 and MacGyver. And this weekend, it's UFC 303 International Fight Week, with the revamped card, with the new main event, Alex Poatan Pereira taking on Yuri Prochazka for the light heavyweight championship, Brian Ortega taking on Diego Lopez in the co-main event, and Ian Gary taking on Michael Venom Page. And this is going to be a real great fight card. Really looking forward to it. It sucks that the Conor Chandler fight got scrapped, but that will come in time. Really looking forward to this card and hoping that it lives up to the expectations. And that does it for another episode of the Fight Corner. That's episode 10. We're into double digits now, rolling on to 100. Who knows how long that's going to take. But I hope you can all stay with us for that journey. But until then, I just want to say thank you all again so much for the support. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It's such a little gesture, but it means so much, and it does go a long way. So thank you all again, and until next time, peace.